Hi, I'm Jeff Brazil from the University of Arkansas. In this recorded webinar, you will hear Dr. Ken McCown from the Graduate School of International Education to talk about the Master of Science in Environmental Resiliency. Great stuff. And remember, go Hogs.
This is the Master of Science in Environmental Resiliency program that we have that's put on by the Graduate School and International Education. Today, we're lucky to have some special guests with us. We've got Dr. Kim McCown, who's the department head and a professor in the program. Kay Mathis couldn't make it, but she's the Assistant Director for Environmental Dynamics as well as the Program Coordinator for this program. Dr. McCown, if you would like, I'll give you an opportunity to maybe introduce yourself and kind of your background and anything you'd like to add.
Hi, my name is Ken McCown, and I serve as the department head in landscape architecture. I'm an adjunct professor in architecture, and most importantly for this, I serve as the director of the university's sustainability and environmental resiliency programs. I have had a long career where I've had the opportunity to work with natural processes and cultural patterns and try to make places that are in harmony with where they are on the planet and where they are in time and with people.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And then next, we also have Dr. Sarah Lewis, who's an adjunct faculty member. And then I believe Dr. Joanna Person-Michener is not able to be here as well. But if you'd like, Dr. Lewis, to introduce yourself and kind of your background and where you're at.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Lewis, and I'm adjunct faculty in the Environmental Resiliency program. I also am founder and CEO of Edgewater Coaching and Consulting, and have a background in sustainability and global supply chain, as well as in watershed management and aquatic ecosystems. So I'm thrilled to get to be here, and thank you for your interest in this program. I teach 3 courses that I can tell a little bit about in a little while.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Real quick, I'll go over just kind of the key points we'll touch on today. I'll do an overview of the program as well as the benefits of an online degree. I'll cover some of the basics of the admissions process as well as what you can kind of expect your student life to look like as an online student. Then some of the resources that are available to you, as well as the tuition and some resources for paying for college as well. So first of all, this environmental resiliency program it's an advanced study of resiliency in the context of sustainability and climate and environmental change. It is a 100% online course, and it's a series of 10 courses that add up to 30 credit hours, which is estimated to take about 2 years, and there is no GRE required nor thesis required for this. And then basically there are 4 core areas that you'll study here, which is sustainability, leadership, resiliency, and then certifications, accounting, and metrics. And I think that Dr. McCown and Dr. Lewis are probably some of the best ones to talk about like their individual areas of expertise. So if either one of you would like to maybe take over and talk about the program from faculty perspective.
Sure. I'll actually jump in and talk about it from the larger picture of the curriculum, and I'd love to hear Dr. Lewis talk about the course experience. So we have a Master's of Environmental Resiliency, and we've created it essentially as a ladder program. And what I mean by a ladder program is you can stagger micro certificates and a certificate on the way to the degree. And one of the places that you can start is with a sustainability micro certificate. In the sustainability micro certificate, we teach you the foundational ideas about sustainability. We then teach you in the next course how to apply those ideas. And then in the third course, we tend to focus on food, water, and energy, so you can see the implications of what it means to apply sustainability ideas. I always like to think about sustainability like checkers, because it's a very linear kind of mathematical process where you're looking at things in a very static way or a very linear way. But what we do after the certificate or the micro certificate in sustainability is we move you into resiliency. And Joanna, who's not here, she teaches the Foundations of Resiliency course. And essentially resiliency starts to look at things in a much more dynamic way. So we want you to be able to understand systems and how systems react under different stressors and how they might react under events that might happen. So, for example, I just read a news headline this morning that 2025 was the year of fires and floods. So what do you do after those types of shocks to your systems? Sustainability won't necessarily answer that question, but when you start to embrace resilience, you can understand that much better. And I want to use that as the way to talk about concentration areas that we have in the Masters of Environmental Resiliency. The first area that we have as a concentration area is mathematical. So for people that really like to think about things in terms of numerical systems, we have environmental and social governance, ESG. So this is something the corporate world is using. And a lot of corporations are multinational corporations. So, we may be limiting ESG a little bit within the United States. But what I'm finding with students in the program is they're actually amping up the ESG efforts in their corporations due to the fact that there are requirements with companies and supply chains that they work with internationally. There's also greenhouse gas accounting. And I also teach a course on building rating systems. So what we're trying to do is really get you familiar with the tools that are being used out there in practice. And these are things that are going to get you prepared for jobs. Dr. Lewis is going to be able to talk very well about the social track. But what we want to do is also help you identify who you are as a leader and how you can lead and where you can lead. And we want to help you with your communication skills. I used to work with the Nature Conservancy on contracts. And it was very interesting to get to know the people, and I really like them, and they're all good people. And it was kind of fun to watch them actually have communication conflicts inside their organization between the lawyers, the ecologists, the marketers. Everybody had the same sustainability goal, but the way they were communicating was challenging, right? So it's not just trying to preach about sustainability and resilience to people who aren't necessarily interested in those areas by their nature, but it's also thinking about how you can build a stakeholder and collaborator network. So we're really excited about the program, and we're really excited about these tracks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Dr. McCown. Dr. Lewis, did you have anything you wanted to add, or you want to talk about the courses that you teach?
Yes, I want to thank Dr. McCown for the overview, and I think that's a beautiful way to describe the approach here, that it's multifaceted. You need to have the adaptive aspects as well as the more technical aspects, and being what I call, and what is called in the industry, a sustainability professional, right? It's the ability to bring your passion, bring your purpose to really any role that you're seeking. You can be in marketing, you can be in custodial work, you can be in administration, you can be in supply chain, wherever you are working, data analysis, you can bring your sense of purpose and your lens of sustainability to that role. And I really feel like this program has captured that better really than I've seen in a lot of different programs, because it embraces the more what's called adaptive, meaning more complex, allowing the social softer skills, sometimes referred to, and lifting those up as equitable to the technical skills. You can have as many tools and techniques as you want, but if you cannot communicate and stay the course and survive in a system that will push you back when it doesn't want to change, those tools will go nowhere. They'll stay on a shelf and not get used. So this program helps you, yes, develop tools and knowledge about systems. It also helps you build your capacity to lead change and to then build collaborative initiatives that help you collect the data that you want to collect. And I'll give a specific example. Supply chains include everything from the growers on the ground that are putting seeds into the soil, all the way to the people who are composting the food waste, right? Like, these are whole systems. And what happens often is a company along that journey would like to know more about how the wheat was grown. Well, in our supply chains, in our food supply chains, information in commodity markets doesn't flow because there are roadblocks in that information. If a company wants to know information about a farm, they're going to have to build relationships with growers and help create incentives that are human-based, not technical-based, but human-based, to help pass that information along. And so building that capacity to build relationships, understand, have empathy for others in the system that goes beyond the technical aspects is a key part of this program. And those are some of the courses that I teach: is adaptive leadership, being able to navigate complex challenges, and then also leadership is convening, which is the ability to, the ability to bring people together and mobilize them and inspire them to take action, to move in a new way, move forward in a new way. And then also the ability to collect data and organize information in a way that is understandable and relevant so that you can communicate your goals. And those kinds of skills will not only make the environment more resilient, but it will help the individuals be resilient in creating change for the positive impact.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Lewis. And I see that Dr. Person-Mitchner was able to join. Would you perhaps like to introduce yourself and maybe talk about your background a little bit and maybe some of the classes that you teach?
I think you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. I'm happy that I was able to join today. Sorry for the difficulty, but I am adjunct faculty in the Environmental Resiliency program, and I've been involved since the program began. I developed and teach the foundational course, Foundations of Environmental Resiliency, which really introduces students to systems thinking, particularly socio-ecological systems, environmental and community resilience, climate risk and vulnerability, and the social and human dimensions of environmental change.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Real quick, I'll go over the requirements for the program. They're pretty short. So you just need to apply to the program, which requires admission to the graduate school specifically, which their minimum requirements are an earned bachelor's degree from any accredited institution and a 3.0 cumulative GPA on the last 60 credit hours attempted for that undergraduate degree. And then you'll get then admitted to the Environmental Resiliency program itself. And now I'd like to open it up if there's any questions, maybe. If not, then we can move on to kind of some of the global campus side that you're going to see whenever you actually attend the classes online.
Will, we do actually have one question about at the end of the class, is there a capstone project or a comprehensive exam?
For our program, we have the 10 courses towards the master's degree. So there is no capstone and there is no comprehensive project. We think that our courses are robust, and we've taken a lot of time to really think about the sequence of the curriculum. So in some ways, our classes are cumulative and comprehensive. We have had students who have decided to pursue independent studies, and that is an option for students. If they want to talk to me about that, we can potentially make arrangements, and those can help students look at topics that they're interested in that they might typically look at in a thesis or a comprehensive project.
Thank you.
This is Sarah. I can add to that I can think of several students, in particular, one example in adaptive leadership. I ask students to take on a project that's real world, it's something that there is a challenge that they would like to create in the community. And much like what I would say is a capstone project, you see this at the Clinton School and so on. These are projects that we work together. They lead it, and I advise along the way, and they create real world change through those projects. They take on a challenge that's very complex. They mobilize the community that is relevant to that challenge, and they bring about change. So there's a project happening in Elkins right now that one of the students who is part of the Environmental Resiliency program has led and brought that forward as a project, and it's still going. It's so exciting. So these are real world opportunities to have real impact in building the capacity to do that. Also, in another example, in the measurement and or you can't manage what you don't measure. A student is going to publish some of the work in the project that they did, their own personal project, and they want to carry that forward and publish it with some of their professors. So I think all of the faculty work to bring forward opportunities for students to take on projects that are relevant to what they want to create in their careers, in their lives, and in their communities. And so those are a couple of examples of projects that hopefully will inspire you.
I can add to that too, as well, regarding the foundations course of environmental resiliency. We use a lot of applied methods in the course, particularly case studies of actual natural disasters, mostly related to climate change, but not always. And then for their final project, they develop a case study of their own, not just reviewing case studies that have already been developed, but they develop their own case study based on a disaster that has occurred and the community response. And in that process, they're able to apply assessments, different types of assessments of community and environmental resilience that we use throughout the course, and why or why not, those assessment instruments would be applicable and beneficial to those communities, and where those instruments, have strengths and where they may fall short in those scenarios. So it's a real opportunity for students to apply that knowledge that we've gained throughout the course in real world scenarios.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. Now I'll turn to kind of what Jeff and I do, which is we work for the great team here at Global Campus, and the goal of our offices is to really connect with online students and make sure that you are all on the right track, and we help manage the programs, the online side of the programs. So I'll just kind of talk about what we do here real quick. First of all, the benefits of an online degree obviously is the flexibility. So this being a 100% online program, you never have to set foot on campus if you don't want to. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Obviously, wherever you are, you can work on the program, but then also time-wise. So professors understand that you're likely working and that you might need some flexibility with your assignments, and they're just able to reach out. You're able to reach out to them and talk with them and make sure that the courses fit into your life as well. And then affordability is a big one. I'll touch on tuition here more in a minute, but no matter where you are in the world, you pay in-state tuition as an online student, and you also get access to the U of A support network as well. And our offices are here for you. So we have dedicated staff that are here to make sure that you get on track and that you stay on track the entire time that you're enrolled, and even beyond with some of the career services that we have as well. But then a little bit about the University of Arkansas. So we have a reputation for excellence, and we're a top public research institution that's accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. We've been consistently ranked as one of the best institutions in the country, and that extends to the online programs as well. And a lot of that is owing to our dedicated faculty. We have some great faculty members here on this call, but even beyond, we've got really, really amazing faculty that come from a diverse range of backgrounds that obviously with these faculty here that are on, you can see where all you can go with a degree like this one. With this program, you can do a lot of different things and explore a lot of different topics. And that kind of really lends to career advancement, which is the whole goal, right? Is to achieve something and to better yourself. So then quick overview of the admissions process. First, you just need to go to the graduate school's application page and apply there. pay the application fee. You'll submit any transcripts from your undergraduate degree at that time. And then I encourage everybody to check their status directly after getting that submitted. So that way you can make sure that everything was submitted properly and that there's no missing documents. And then usually in about 3 to 4 weeks, you'll get a decision and you'll need to go in and accept that decision. So. And then life as an online student. So we use a learning management system called Blackboard Learn, which is essentially like a virtual classroom. And here you'll check all of the classes that you're enrolled in. You'll be able to see all your grades and assignments with their due dates. You'll also be able to engage with other students as well. So a lot of classes incorporate things like discussion posts and group projects. And you can check the syllabus for virtual office hours and talk with your professor here. And then if anything, any hiccups along the way, there are dedicated support service staff that are able to kind of help walk you through any of those issues and make sure that you're able to get on track and all your issues resolved in a timely manner. And then from our side, from Global Campus, we actually have several resources set up to help you. So the liaisons, they're online student liaisons is what they're referred to as, and you can actually connect with them at that QR code. It takes you to their page, and they'll be able to answer any questions and get you connected with anybody on campus that you need. So if you need to get connected to your advisor, if you don't know who your advisor is, that sort of thing, you can talk with them. They can't do any of the advising, but they can connect you to who you need to talk to. And then the coaches are kind of like your personal cheerleader. They'll be, contacting you throughout your time in the program and making sure everything's going well. If they can, if you feel like you're not doing as well, they can kind of help connect you with resources that like tutors or something like that to help get you on track. And then we've also built an online student union, which functions kind of like the on-campus union, where you can communicate with with your peers, with other classmates to maybe exchange study tips and just kind of have a general sense of camaraderie among online students. And then lastly, we have put together an online orientation that is designed to get you set on the right track and figure out all of how Blackboard works and how to upload assignments, that sort of thing, without it, being counted towards credit. So that way you can really get started on a good foot. And the estimated cost of attendance for this program, the tuition per credit hour is $459.68, as well as those additional fees there. But that's in-state tuition. So again, no matter where you live, it's the same rate anywhere in the world. And then to help pay for that, here's a couple of scholarships that I have listed. So for online students specifically, we have the W.E. Manning Memorial Scholarship, which you can apply for. And I believe it's about $1,000 per semester. And then if you are an Arkansas resident, there's the Challenge Scholarship and the Future Grant that you could apply for as well. And then on the financial aid website, you can also explore external scholarship opportunities as well. So I encourage everybody to go to that link there and go to their page and see what all you might qualify for. We also encourage everybody to fill out the FAFSA so that they can see what grants you might be available to you, or if you'd like to take out loans, that's an option as well there. And then also, if you have any military service, or if you know that your employer might be able to reimburse you for any tuition that you pay, definitely explore those options and see what's available to you. I encourage you to explore every single aspect of this so that way you can get the most amount of funding possible. And then one last thing that I always like to highlight is something that kind of sets the University of Arkansas apart. So we have the Senior Walk, which has over 200,000 names now, probably over 250,000 at this point. And anybody that graduates from the University of Arkansas with a degree has the opportunity to get their name engraved in the sidewalk. And I just think it's such a special tradition. It's something that, I'm excited to get my name engraved. It should be done this year. And it just stands as concrete proof that, we're here for you and that you achieve something. And it's just such a special thing for us. So, and then this is the last slide. So, Dr. McCown's information is there. And then the program coordinator, Kay Mathis, her information is there as well. So if you have any questions afterwards, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you have the opportunity to connect with them and get any questions answered. So I'll finish out by saying, going to a Q&A session, if there's any lingering questions or any last minute thoughts from our special guests, I'll let them add on to that.
I know we get another question sometimes about what Does this master's, like, what are some of the jobs that people get out in the field that you could elaborate on some of the jobs that you've seen that people have from getting this master's?
I'm going to speak very briefly and turn this over to Sarah and Joanna. But what I'm really excited about is our faculty have jobs out in HUD, McDonald's, other prominent corporations in the nonprofit sector. So we see jobs ubiquitously out there, as Dr. Lewis noted. Sustainability professionals reach almost every part of the economy. So I'll let Sarah and Joanna talk more about that.
Yes, I really see Honore Environmental Resiliency, this program, as a bridge, given some of the other courses that I've taught at the university, between policy and the community, the environment, and lived experience. This is a time of very rapid change in society and environmentally, and this program really meets the moment, and it provides knowledge and skills that are necessary for collaborative and really complex problem solving that we're facing today. I've seen students in the program, many of them come into the program well into their careers and find the skills and the knowledge from this program as opportunity to build onto or advance their current careers, just a very real variety. It's also a great launching pad for careers in areas of, domestic and international policy, community and sustainable development, environmental preservation and conservation. I've seen many students find applicability for this degree, from biological sciences, as well as sustainability leadership, certainly, and nonprofit management and work. And yeah, it's just really an opportunity for many fields where there's a need for integration of the connection between the environment and people and the resilience to the changes that we're facing today, here and in the world.
I agree with all of the perspective, and I'll give an example. I had a recent student who worked on the big fighter jets at an Air Force base, and he was concerned about the water quality that maybe the water body that was around the Air Force base, and whether or not it may be impacted by the fuel that was coming off that Air Force base. And he wanted to also expand his knowledge of sustainability systems and how to bring that way of thinking idea of, like, looking at the situation with a lens of, is this resilient? Is it sustainable? How can I improve it? No matter what role a person is in. And so that was, I thought I was so inspired by his ideas and efforts and the project that he did. And I see that across all the students that are in these classes. I have PhD students that are actually in the environmental dynamics program. You would think, well, they're already really knowledgeable about this. And I think the thing that environmental resiliency program adds is this applicability, the very clear applicability to real world challenges, where you may be in more of an academic setting, kind of looking at philosophical ideas. This brings it into kind of that applicability. And I think both are needed. And so regardless of whether you're in corporate supply chain or a military setting or an academic setting, we're getting all of those kinds of individuals with those kinds of backgrounds, and they're really finding relevance of the content to what they're doing, and it's really makes it rewarding to get to teach the classes. So. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's great news. That's great information. Is there any more questions, or would anybody else like to close out about the program? Anyone have anything else to say? Okay, well, if not, we're very thankful that you joined us today. We think we have a wonderful program here, and all the contact information is here. And this video will be sent out, recorded, and sent out to you as well. And we just hope to see you as Arkansas Razorbacks someday. And take care. We'll talk to you soon.